Hi, Caitlin. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So, what's been going on since we last spoke?
Oh gosh, so he won't get rid of his dog,
Right.
which I get,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm terribly afraid of them ever since that dog attacked me at my parents' barbecue when I was 5.
Right, and that was very traumatic for you.
Ruined this side of my face.
Yes, of course.
Big scar.
Yeah. So, what do we think we can do to combat this?
Kill the dog. I'm just kidding.
That's probably not the best idea.
Mm.
We probably want to solve this in a better way than that.
Right. Right.
So, are you willing to get over your fear of dogs?
Yes, I want to try to get over my fear because I really care about Brad.
Right, of course, and you don't want that to ruin the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I think that there's something that we can do. We can do this exercise where we create a hierarchy of your fear of dogs,
Okay.
going from what gives you the least amount of anxiety to what gives you the most amount of anxiety.
Okay.
And we can kind of work through it to desensitize your fear and get you to a place where you're not as scared of the dog, and maybe it'll help your relationship grow even further.
Okay.
Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start with the situation with the dog that will give you the least amount of anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll go to 10 and say what's going to give you the most amount of anxiety, and then we'll go to the middle at like 50%, and then we'll fill in everything else.
Okay.
So what do you think would give you the least amount of anxiety at maybe 10 to 30% anxiety?
If me and Brad were outside on the new porch that he just built, it's beautiful, red oak, and the dog was inside and the door was closed.
Okay, so you could see the dog, but
Yes.
there's no way for it to get to you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and then let's go down to 10.
Okay.
So what's the situation that will give you 100% the most anxiety?
The dog touching me.
In what way is the dog touching you? Like jumps on top of you?
Yes. So if it jumps on top of me, if it jumps on top of me, if it's just like sniffing around me.
Right.
I don't want it
Okay,
near.
so in your vicinity. All right.
Yeah.
And then where do you think would be about 50% of your anxiety?
If I was around the dog and it started barking.
Okay, so barking is a trigger.
Yeah. Because that's what the dog did before it attacked.
Okay, so let's go back to 1.
Okay.
So 1 is what you said gave you the least amount of anxiety around a dog. So you're outside and the dog is inside. It can't get to you.
Yeah. Or I'm inside and the dog is outside.
Right. So you're in a situation where you can see the dog and
Yeah.
it gives you a little bit of anxiety, but it can't get to you.
Yes.
So what would it be? So we're going to fill in 1 through 5 right now. So
Okay.
number 2, what's a little bit more anxiety than that?
If we were in the same space but still cut off in some way.
So maybe you're in the living room and the dog is behind a gate in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay, and then after that. Remember, 5 is that you're around the dog and the dog is barking.
Right. If I was in a big open space with the dog, like if me and Brad and Oliver, that's the dog's name, went to the park and he was on a leash and stuff and still.
So, a little more free rein on the leash, but still avoiding a bit of contact.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what about 4, right before being around the dog and it's barking? So I'm assuming in this scenario for 5, the dog is not restrained.
No.
Okay.
I guess 4 would be being in. No, I don't want to be in an enclosed space.
Maybe we're in an open space with the dog and it's on a leash and it's barking.
Okay.
So that way we're right before it being not restrained.
Mhm. Yeah, because the barking to me feels aggressive.
Mhm. I think a lot of people feel that way.
Mm.
Sometimes I think it's a common fear. Okay, and then we have 5 with the dog is no longer restrained but it's barking. Yeah. And then so we're gonna fill out 6 through 10 now. Okay. So after the dog barking and is not restrained.
After that, I guess it would be something a little more aggressive that the dog was doing. Like if we went to the dog park and it was like fighting with another dog or like growling or something.
That's
or
good.
even inside or outside, just being aggressive.
Okay. So then again, the dog is not restrained. Okay, what about 7?
7. If I had to do something with the dog, like if I was holding it on the leash or like I had to feed it while Brad was on one of his business trips, he goes to Hong Kong because he's really important.
He goes to Hong Kong?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Really important.
That sounds nice, though.
Yeah,
some traveling and stuff. So who watches the dog while he's away?
He hires like a dog sitter.
Oh, he's a dog sitter. Okay. So in this scenario, the dog is back to being restrained, but you're the one holding the leash.
Yeah.
Okay, what about 8?
I guess 8 would then be like if I had to feed the dog or something like that.
So again, the dog isn't touching you, isn't generally around you, but you have to feed it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what about 9? So this is right before the scenario of the dog touching you.
We are in the same space without restrictions, so he's not in the kitchen behind a gate, he's not,
No restrictions, no restraints.
Yeah.
So in this scenario, it could be right before the dog is touching you.
Yes.
So this is kind of like the right before of that anxiety. Okay. So what we're going to do with this hierarchy is we're going to have you go through it. So I know it sounds a little scary, but we're going to work our way through it slowly. So by the time that you get to 5, hopefully you're not going to feel that 50% of anxiety, but maybe like a 25%. So that way you're getting closer to feeling less anxiety around the dog. So your homework for next time is that maybe you're going to try to be around the dog, and you and Brad could be sitting outside while the dog is inside.
Okay.
And I want you to kind of get yourself in a serene place, maybe do some of the relaxation exercise that we've been doing, and get yourself in a place where you feel relaxed around the dog. Okay. And I'm going to see you next week, and it might not be perfect by next week, and that's fine. We're going to take our time to get through this because I know it's really scary for you. You did have a traumatic experience with a dog. But I do think that this is going to work for you. I'll make a copy of this and you can bring the hierarchy home with you.
Okay.
And sounds good. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
No, this sounds good and it sounds scary, but I'm ready to get over my fear of dogs.
I'm really glad to hear that.